Hello and welcome to Ebbs and Flows with Erin, or welcome back to Ebbs and Flows with Erin. I am your host, Erin, and today is not an official episode, really. It's not an official return to regular episodes. If you have been a listener of the podcast, you may have noticed that I have not uploaded a new episode in about 3 months now, which seems insane to me. On one hand, that feels like no time has passed, and on the other hand, it feels like I have lived lifetimes in that 3 months. And I just wanted to come on here with a little update for you guys so that I don't just pop back up one day when episodes will return regularly, which they will 100%. And behind the scenes, I'm working on the podcast and I have plans for the new season. I have wonderful, exciting guests lined up to come on. I just honestly don't know when that will be, that the podcast returns with regular episodes. Today, I really just wanted to do a little check-in with you guys because I am currently moving through a season of transition. Lots of change, lots of uncertainty, and if you follow Ebbs and Flows Instagram, you may have seen my post about this. I shared the brand new cover art for the podcast that marks a new chapter of the podcast. To be honest, I wanted to do an updated cover art for the podcast for quite a long time now, and the universe works in funny ways, and it kind of aligned with this pause and return to a new era of the podcast. And I'm obsessed with the photos that I got taken by Marissa, who I always tag when I share the photos she's taken for me. And I had a vision for the new cover art, and she seamlessly made it come to life. So, shout out Marissa. But yeah, I shared a little bit about this on Instagram with the new cover art that I've intentionally been taking this break from the podcast to move through this season with more intention and to practice what I preach here. That it's okay to slow down. It's okay for your priorities to shift throughout the different seasons of life. And it doesn't mean that you're failing or falling behind. Now, I don't like to practice what I preach naturally. It does not come naturally to me. It's something I really have to practice at. And through this time, it's been scary to me, and I have a lot of thoughts and feelings that tell me I am falling behind, I am failing, I am thinking of all of the potential success I could be having or fulfillment I could be feeling if I was carrying through with weekly episodes of the podcast. But consciously, I know that that's not true. And at the same time, I feel like this podcast is also all about the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of life, and being real about them. So I also don't want to disappear and come back and act as if nothing has happened or everything's just all good, because that doesn't feel authentic to me or this space either. So I wanted to come on here with this little update that it is a time of a lot of uncertainty, and I feel like when I talk to people in real life, so many people can relate to this right now, it seems like. There's a lot of change, transformation, transition, uncertainty. And the thing about change that I've learned a lot about in therapy, and then just my own lived experience when I look back at other times where I was going through a lot of change and transitions, is that even if it's objectively a positive change, change is scary to our nervous system, to our brains, to our bodies. It's just going to be scary. No matter if it's the greatest change you could be making for yourself to better yourself, it's still scary and it's still stressful, and it's still something that takes time for you and your system to adjust to. So that's a lesson I'm consistently learning through this time, where in several areas of my life, there's a lot of change going on, and I'm in that in-between space that is super uncomfortable and uncertain. I keep saying uncertain, but that's just how it feels. It's uncomfortable and it's uncertain. And again, I feel like a lot of people can relate to being in that in-between space where you're not where you've been, but you're not yet where you're going, and maybe you aren't exactly clear on where you are going or what it's going to look like when you get there. But things are changing and things are different and they're going to be different. And it's a really uncomfortable space to be in. And I've thought about this morning when I was thinking about sitting down for this episode. I think the 3 biggest lessons the universe is trying to teach me right now, or honestly forcing me to learn, is surrender, detachment, and duality. Surrendering to life's flow and the universe. Sometimes the universe gives you no choice but to change. It forces you out of comfort zones. That's where I'm at right now. It's truly forcing me out of all comfort zones. And I'm choosing the best as I can to surrender to that. And in surrender, we are trusting God, spirit, the universe, even when you can't see it and it doesn't feel like it, trusting and surrendering to the fact that everything is working out for your best. And trust me, I can sit down and say that here right now, but I don't believe that at all times in these seasons of uncomfortable in-betweens and change and transition. I don't always feel that, but I could always come back to it. And that leads me to the duality part of what I feel like the universe is teaching me right now. More than one thing can be true at once. And that's something huge that I'm experiencing right now, is that there can be sadness. You can be sad, scared, uncomfortable, while also being grateful, hopeful, excited. That all can coexist at once. And that is also something we have to continuously remind ourselves, because it's really easy to get so stuck in and spiral in the one feeling we might be feeling the most in any moment. But coming back to remembering, okay, maybe I'm feeling really scared right now. I can be really sad and grieving what once was, while also being really hopeful and excited about what the future holds and grateful for life, even when it doesn't feel so good and it feels really scary and uncertain and uncomfortable. So surrender and duality, 2 huge lessons I'm learning right now in the season I'm in, and detachment. I feel like the universe is giving me a huge lesson in detachment. Detachment from places, things, people, identities, all things, detachment from anything. And it's hard for me to accept that lesson, because I've always been someone who becomes very attached to things. Whether it is people, places, or things, I've always become attached deeply, very quickly. As far back as I can remember, whether it was an object in my home growing up, or a person, or a place, I become very attached, and I don't necessarily think that's always healthy, and I think that's a lesson I'm learning in this phase, and I will continue to be learning while I ride this out, is detachment. Because in reality, nothing is ours. If your happiness and the state of your well-being or your nervous system is attached to things outside of yourself, you're going to struggle. And not necessarily that you won't struggle if you're detached, and you can definitely go in an unhealthy direction by going too far into the detached zone as well. But I don't know, just from the teachings and the things that I've learned throughout my time of being on my spiritual journey and whatnot, I do consciously know that true happiness and fulfillment comes from detachment. And that's just been really, really hard for me to put into practice. And this is a time where I am going to have to put that into practice. And it's going to be hard. And it is hard. But again, I am hopeful, and I do look forward to what I'm going to learn and experience through these lessons that the universe is teaching me and these challenges it's putting me through right now. And when I look back in the past at times of massive change and transition in my life, they often were the catalyst for some of my darkest times in life. My full physiological breakdown that I talk about often here happened because of a big transition that was happening in my life. Things were changing on a deep level in several areas, and that sent me into a full breakdown. My nervous system could not handle the concept of all of this change happening at once. And that's been one of the scariest parts for me during this time is, and I talk about this in therapy with my therapist, is that I know that I'm in such a better, stronger position to handle and navigate this change and transition now because of the work that I've put in to put myself in a better position. But there's still subconsciously a part of me that is just afraid to experience another breakdown like that again at this time. It's like my subconscious is anticipating a breakdown or anticipating that I won't be able to handle this or something's going to break me. And again, consciously, I know that I can handle whatever comes my way. And I can handle change. And I know that change is tough and scary and difficult, but it's also the area where we learn the most about ourselves. We grow the most. We gain the most insight and experience that elevates our experience on this earth. So, yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with this. I don't know. I don't know if there's much value in this to anyone, but I do feel like it's necessary for me to share with you guys just like where I'm at. And honestly, I don't even really know where I'm at some days. Like, it really just is change. I don't know. It's tough. I can experience several different feelings in one day on a deep level. And yeah, I do feel good about my decision to pause showing up regularly on the podcast and not acting out of fear, if that makes sense. It feels like if I were to show up on the podcast weekly right now, it would be out of fear that if I don't, I will look like a failure or feel like a failure or miss out on opportunities or success. And it wouldn't feel like I'm showing up in the way which I always have that truly fulfills me because I'm excited to show up and I have something I'm excited to share and excited to talk about and have the time and energy to provide value in the episodes I'm showing up with. Right now, life is just honestly, there's just so much going on. It's so busy on top of so uncertain with so much change happening in several areas that, yeah, I just need to spend this time navigating this season with intention so that I can kind of feel my feet planted on the ground in this new era of my life as it comes. And I 1000% will be back with a weekly podcast. This podcast is so important to me, and I know that it's only going to get better and better, especially with the guests that I have lined up to come on for conversations. I'm so excited to have these conversations and to share them. And I just know that it will be so worth the wait once I get to that place where I have the capacity to show up regularly again. And maybe it does look different in the future. Like, I'm really trying to stay open to that too, of maybe I'm not going to show up in the way that I always have. Like, maybe I will show up differently. Maybe the format will look different. I don't know. I think I need to stay open to the possibilities of doing things differently, whether it's this podcast or just in different areas of life, the way that I do things. If it's such a massive time of transition and change that's happening in my life, I think it's the perfect time to kind of detach again from the way that I've always done things or always thought about things and open up to possibilities of how things can be done or look differently. And on that note, I believe when I come back with episodes, or maybe even on the old episodes, I'm not sure. I know in description on podcast platforms, there's the send Erin a text line. It's called fan mail on the back end of the platform that I use to publish my podcast. And I think now I can reply to it, and then I think you can leave me voicemails, which is like so fun and cool. I would love to answer voicemails live on the podcast. And I definitely will come back with like a Q&A podcast episode. I know I'm not diving into details here about the change and transitions that I'm going through in life. I also don't really think it necessarily matters. I don't think this podcast is about my life or me. I want it to be valuable to all, and I think it's more so the lessons and themes in life that we all experience and all go through, so that we can all feel less alone in them, because we all experience so much more of the same experiences, feelings, struggles, challenges, whatever it may be. And that's what I feel like is more valuable. But I do know I've had people on Instagram be like, I want to hear more about, I don't know, me, I guess. So make sure you're following on Instagram. I will eventually share a story, ask me anything kind of thing. And I'd love to record an episode. And it can even just be like girly things. Like I've had people ask my favorite products and foods and stuff like that. So I don't know. Now I'm rambling. I really miss this. I do miss yapping. I'm putting it out to the universe every week. On that note, it is really cool to see. Like I said, I haven't published a new episode in 3 months. And to anyone who's ever thought about creating their own podcast, it's really cool because they do last forever. And anyone searching for any topic you've ever talked about can always find it. And especially my Effexor series that I started, a 3-episode series on my experience being prescribed Effexor, on Effexor, and coming off of Effexor, my antidepressant medication, which right now is like 2 years since I've been on Effexor. So I think I'll need to talk about that on a future episode too. But I still get messages and comments weekly about that topic. And I don't know, I'm just really glad that I did share about that, and now it lives on the internet, and I'm able to connect with people who are looking to relate or for information or to just feel less alone in that topic. And I'm really excited because I'm going to have one of my girlfriends on who has had her own experience of coming on to antidepressants, not Effexor, but an antidepressant, and then withdrawing off of it. We're going to have a whole conversation around that topic because it needs to be talked about more. And I'm so grateful I get to connect on a deeper level with people who are already in my life on things that maybe we wouldn't really talk about if we weren't being open about them. And I'm grateful for this platform to share those conversations with others because I just know that others can relate. And the main message of this podcast always is that you are not alone. And I know when I'm going through anything, I look to the internet or podcasts or platforms where I can find people who are like-minded or have been going through the same thing, have gone through the same thing, who are on the other side of something that I'm going through. I don't know. I think the internet, there's a lot of negatives about it, but there's also a lot of positives about it, and that is one of them, the connection that we can feel. Okay, anyways, I think I'm just rambling on now. Yeah, I am excited for when I do come back with the podcast. I can't wait to continue connecting with you guys. And ultimately, if you are in an in-between season right now and you're feeling uncomfortable, uncertain, you don't really know what your next phase of life looks like, and I promise you, even when it feels all bad, there is going to be so much good. And you are stronger. We are stronger than we think we are. We are so used to wanting clarity, direction, and answers. And ultimately, this season has really been asking me to slow down and just be in the unknown a little bit more, which is very uncomfortable. But I know that it's happening for a reason. And I'm just trusting in that. Surrender, detachment, and duality. are my 3 lessons I'm learning right now, and I can't wait to come back with whatever insights I gain through these lessons over this next while. Okay, you guys, thank you for listening to my little ramble here. If you have any comments, any questions, you know how to reach me. It's all linked in the description below. Follow over on Instagram. That's kind of where I'm showing up here and there right now. I really appreciate you listening and connecting with me, and I can't wait for what the future holds for all of us. I will talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.